Welcome to our ReadAloud. We have the medievalists from the Department of English, Dr. Lisa Kiser, Dr. Leslie Lockett, and her husband, Dr. Drew Jones, and 3 graduate students. I assume that's you. I don't have them. And I can pronounce 2 of your names and not the 3rd, so I'm going to let Dr. Kiser introduce you. They have such a great program. I want to turn this over to Dr. Kiser right now.
I just want to welcome you and tell you how happy we are to be here to promote our area of interest. Today we're doing some things from the Old English period, stretching from roughly around the year 500 to the year 1100, give or take some time on either end. Old English was, as you know, the ancestor of our modern English, and we're going to give you a chance to hear a little bit of the original language, although we'll mainly be reading in modern English. So I'm going to let my colleague Leslie Lockett come up and talk for a second. Leslie's really the Old English person, so I will let you do that. Leslie?
Thank you so much. While I say a couple of words, maybe we can send the handout around. This has some text on it in both Old English and Modern English that we'll be reading from today. And some of us have chosen to read in Old English and some in Modern English and some in a mixture. So what you'll see as you look at the text that's on the page and as you hear it is, one, that Old English is, of course, in some ways recognizably the ancestor of modern English, but it doesn't have any of the things that look like French and Latin that we have in modern English. So this is language predating the Norman conquest and the importation of lots of Latin influence. So that it will look very Germanic compared to modern English. As Lisa said, the Old English period stretches over many centuries. Most of the things you'll hear today were written down on parchment as we have them today between about 950 and 1050 AD, but 2 of them, Beowulf and The Dream of the Rood, probably have a much longer lifespan. It's hard to know when Beowulf was written. We do have testimony that Dream of the Rood survived much longer than that because parts of it are written on a stone cross from the 8th century from northern England. Most of the things you'll hear today are poetry, and I just want to say a brief word about what you might expect to hear when you hear Old English poetry. You won't hear rhyme, you won't hear blank verse. What you will hear is, in each line of the poem, 4 main stressed syllables and then a varying number of unstressed syllables. Something in the first half of that line, with those first 2 stresses, will alliterate with something in the second half of the line. So that is, the initial sounds will be repeated. And this is what sort of interlocks the lines together, this sort of heavy 4-stress rhythm and the repetition of initial sounds. The last thing I want to say before we get started is that we do have a class in Old English here at Ohio State. Sometimes Drew Jones teaches that, and sometimes I teach it. I'm teaching it this coming autumn. And so if anyone is interested in learning to read and declaim aloud this very interesting language, I will leave the information about the class right up here. Again, that's English 710 being offered next autumn. And despite the scary 710 number, it is open to undergraduates. So, the order in which we're going to speak today, we're going to begin with Drew Jones, and then we will have Karen Bruce, Rachel Klippenstein, Erin Szydloski, and then me, and then Lisa Kiser. You'll be able to follow these on your handout. And now I'd like to turn it over to Drew Jones, who will be reading from